It's Thursday, December 17th, and this is now on HNN. The state issues new COVID-19 rules, shortening quarantine and extending eviction protections.
So we do have the capability to have both vaccines here.
A second vaccine for COVID-19 could clear a big hurdle today. I'm Naomi Ruckham with why this one is easier to store.
It's been rough, but I just have to stand up for what's right.
Employees at an adult toy shop say they were fired after refusing to keep the company open illegally.
You see an increase in gambling addiction, which leads to more poverty, substance abuse.
Plus, some say a plan to build a casino in Kapolei is a big gamble. These stories and more coming up on This Is Now.
We begin with breaking news. The Aloha Stadium Authority is announcing that it is shutting down all new operations at the facility for an indefinite period of time due to severe financial issues.
We are unable to meet our expense levels given our projected revenues.
We're being told the closure means there will be no spectator events, including UH football games, concerts, and graduations. Here's what Ryan Andrews, the deputy manager of Aloha Stadium, had to say just moments ago.
We have spent some time looking at revenue projections moving forward, looking at different scenarios. And although there is a lot of opportunity with these things like drive-through events and with the growth of our swap meet, we still see that our revenues will be far below our expenses, extending out even until 2024.
We're also being told that certain events that are already on the books, like the upcoming Hula Bowl All-Star Game, would be allowed to proceed as scheduled. Right now, our newsroom is working hard to gather all angles of this story. Stay with your HNN digital platforms for the very latest updates and more coming up on evening editions of HNN.
Hey everyone, thanks you for watching. This is Now. Ashley and Jonathan here. Let's start with those latest numbers from the State Department of Health. Health officials are reporting 142 new cases today, along with 2 new deaths. We'll have that breakdown for you by island on your HNN digital platforms very soon. Meanwhile, a second vaccine could be authorized soon. It comes as the U.S. sets new daily records, with more than 247,000 new infections and more than 3,600 deaths. Naomi Ruckham starts our coverage.
Moderna's coronavirus vaccine faces a key hurdle Thursday as it seeks emergency use authorization from the Food and Drug Administration. An independent FDA advisory committee is meeting virtually to review the vaccine's safety and efficacy.
Today's VRPAC meeting continues FDA's commitment to an expedited review process that is transparent, scientifically sound, and data-driven.
The FDA says the vaccine overall is 94% effective. It's 86% effective in people 65 and over. Moderna's vaccine requires 2 doses, just like the Pfizer vaccine. But unlike Pfizer's, Moderna's vaccine does not require ultra-cold temperatures for storage. It can be stored in a regular freezer. During the meeting, the FDA also addressed reports that 2 healthcare workers in Alaska experienced adverse allergic reactions to the Pfizer vaccine. One fully recovered, while the other had to be hospitalized.
These cases underscore the need to remain vigilant during the early phase of the vaccination campaign.
And there seems to be more doses of Pfizer's vaccine than previously thought. After thawing and mixing the vaccine, it turns out there are up to 2 extra doses per vial, which the FDA says are safe to use.
The manufacturer, as we understand it, was trying to be particularly cautious. But what we've learned is that if you follow the manufacturer's directions very specifically, you actually have 6 full doses in each vial.
That means that hundreds more doctors, nurses, and support staff can be protected against the virus. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Several Oahu hospitals are now vaccinating healthcare workers. Today, Tripler Army Medical Center gave us an update on how the military will be distributing the vaccine.
For the initial doses coming to us, that was determined to come to Tripler. So we're selected as a site by DoD because of our ultra-low storage capability here at Tripler. So then we're selected to have the logistical pilot to see if and how the vaccines will come to us to ensure that there's no pitfalls that we need to go and run down and ensure that we can get the vaccines securely and safely here at Tripler.
Meanwhile, neighbor island hospitals are gearing up for the vaccine too. 7,800 doses are coming in next week. They'll be split up and sent to facilities outside Oahu. Employees at Suzys Adult Superstore say their bosses fired them because they refused to keep the store open during Oahu's second shutdown. Now those workers are suing. Lynn Kawana reports.
8 workers say they were not only terminated for refusing to violate the emergency orders, the store owners are now blocking their unemployment claims. Suzys Adult Superstore in Waipahu has signs on the glass saying it is an essential business because in addition to sex toys and clothing, they sell personal protective equipment, hand sanitizers, and sexual health items. It's a claim they made in August when Honolulu went into a second shutdown.
We were experiencing triple-digit cases and spikes in the coronavirus. The employees questioned that they were an essential business.
I literally got told by the Board of Health that I'm non-essential.
Alex Hawaguchi was the store manager at the time and said she was confused because Suzys was not considered essential during the first shutdown in March. She said she also feared for the health and safety of herself and the other workers. 8 of them refused to violate the emergency orders and were fired.
They took our keys away. They had someone, I don't know who it was, come down, take our keys, take all the money in the stores.
Their lawsuit is against the parent company of Suzys, Deja Vu, based on the mainland. The suit says company officials falsely claimed that they had consulted with the state of Hawaii and were considered essential businesses. The employees offered to report to work if the stores remained closed to the public, saying they would deliver phone-in orders and offer curbside service to customers' cars. The company rejected that.
Or not only have fired them, but they are preventing them from getting unemployment insurance by saying they voluntarily left their jobs.
Attorney Rod Bridgers represents the 8 fired workers. The company sent a termination letter but said it was due to job abandonment. Hawaguchi hasn't had income since September 4th and has a pending appeal with the unemployment office.
Aloha United Way with their COVID assistance rental relief. I'm so thankful for that because they helped me for like 4 months. So it was like, but it's been rough, but I just have to stand up for what's right.
A person working at the store told Hawaii News Now that he was aware of the lawsuit but could not comment. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Changes to the quarantine period for non-exempt travelers are now in effect. Governor Ige signed an emergency proclamation that requires those travelers to quarantine for 10 days instead of 14 days, which is what the CDC recommends. The proclamation also extends the eviction moratorium through February 21st and ends the suspension of safety checks for vehicles. After 9 months, Diamond Head State Park is back open today. Casey Lund has more.
This was really a momentous day for so many people. A lot of locals actually hike Diamond Head every single day. It's part of their routine. And so when it was closed for 9 months, they really struggled. For visitors that have never been here before, well, some of them wait their entire lives just to do this hike.
This has been my bucket list for a long time, and I was so sad that it was closed, and we had 1 day left on this trip, and it opened today, so we decided to take it.
Chance and Courtney Merrick are here on their honeymoon.
We booked it in July, and we didn't know COVID was still going to be around, and we figured it was going to be piece of cake. But that COVID test was a little difficult to get, but we got it. Jumped through a lot of hoops, and we made it here.
So far, it's been actually amazing. We haven't really run into any type of issues in regards to like closures.
When they learned the iconic hike would reopen today, they got up early and were some of the first people in line this morning.
So this made a pretty meaningful close to the trip.
Absolutely, and he just graduated, so we took his graduation pictures up here. It was beautiful.
Yeah. These are the tourists our state needs right now. They paid their non-resident entry fee, $5 for the hike, $10 to park a car. They were respectful, here legally, and people who truly appreciate what a special place we get to call home.
You guys have the most beautiful island that we have ever seen, and we thank you guys for having us.
On our way to the top, we saw almost everyone following the rules, wearing their mask and keeping their distance. And that's important if we want to keep this very special place open. Right now, Diamond Head's open from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day except for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And that's just for now until things hopefully return to some sense of normal. Reporting at the top of Diamond Head, I'm Casey Lund for This Is Now.
Tomorrow is the city's last food distribution event for the year, and without any more federal funding, it could be the last for a while. So far this year, the Hawaii Food Bank has given out 3.6 million pounds of food to more than 80,000 Oahu households. Sponsors raised more than $235,000 for tomorrow's event at Aloha Stadium and say the reservations have been filled.
The explosion in online sales this holiday season has a Hawaii e-commerce site racing to fill orders. 3 weeks ago, the pop-up Makeke online store got slammed with more than 20,000 orders, so organizers asked the community for help. Now volunteers are working to pack and ship all the Hawaii-made products. So far, local vendors have made $1.7 million from the e-marketplace, which includes a TV show on KHNL, KGMB, and K5.
Well, the odds are not in favor of a proposed casino for West Oahu. Rick Daysog explains.
DHHL leaders want to build a standalone casino resort somewhere on its land in Kapolei or Kailailoa, but critics say the social costs outweigh any economic benefits.
First of all, it encourages a gambling addiction. It also is known to encourage organized crime.
I just don't think I don't think it's a good idea to put it in the midst of people who don't have the money to gamble, and that's just wrong.
Hawaii is one of only 2 states that don't allow any form of gambling, so the DHHL has drafted legislation to make its plan legal.
Their proposal brings up a lot of legal questions at the state level and even the federal level, given the fact that Native Hawaiians have still not received federal recognition like Native Americans.
Area Senator Mike Gabbard opposes the plan for many reasons.
Gambling is well outside DHHL's mission to provide housing for Native Hawaiians, which I feel strongly that should continue to be their focus. Additionally, as far as I know, DHHL doesn't have expertise in the gambling arena.
Even before the pandemic, the Department of Hawaiian Homeland says the state wasn't providing it with enough funding to fulfill its mission. It hopes that legalizing gambling will help it build more homes for Hawaiians. There are about 28,000 Hawaiians on the wait list for a homestead. The DHHL says at the state's current funding levels, it would take another 100 years to meet the needs of its beneficiaries. The bill still needs to be approved by the Hawaiian Homes Commission next week before it can be introduced to the legislature. Rick Daysog, Hawaii News Now.
Certainly a debate that keeps going on and being brought up year after year after year. We'll have to see what the ledge does with it. Let's take you outside, look at Aloha Tower on this Thursday. Guy Hoggy here with an update on the weather.
How's it on this Thursday? The juicy disturbance continues to trigger some thunderstorms. This morning, they're mainly out over the ocean, but there's a good chance that they could fire up over land over Maui County and the Big Island later today as the disturbance starts to pull away. And there's a chance that thunderstorms and heavy rain could come over Oahu by tomorrow. So for today, Kauai and Oahu actually looking pretty nice with lots of sunshine. And temperatures running into the middle 80s with a breezy trade winds, but tomorrow's going to be even windier. We're thinking the winds will be running about 15 to 30 miles an hour tomorrow. And the surf's on the way up. It's going to peak today. In fact, it's good enough that the Billabong Pipeline Masters is on today. We haven't heard word about the Maui Pro yet. That's going to go at Pipeline sometime soon as well. But still, it's big, it's dangerous. Better left to the pros, at least for a couple of days. And over the weekend, South Shores might get a little bit of a bump. So we've got wobbly weather. We could get some heavy rainfall through the next couple of days, but they'll be spotty. They won't be widespread. We're expecting a fair bit of sunshine too. And those trade winds 15 to 30 tomorrow, and then still breezy on Saturday, slowing down with drier conditions on Sunday. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
NOAA is asking boaters to look out for humpbacks as they return to Hawaii. They're also noting some differences the pandemic brings this year to the whale season. Every year, the whales make the 3,000-mile journey from Alaska to Hawaii waters to breed, give birth, and nurse their young.
It's a big ocean, and even though a whale's 50 feet long, or 45, 50 feet long, it's a big needle out there in that big haystack.
As many as 12,000 humpback whales take part in the migration. But this year, the pandemic is making it a little tougher to count them.
Because our effort has also been diminished, our on-water presence.
NOAA's Ed Lyman says the agency relies on mariners, both public and private, to be extra eyes. The less tours, fishing, and cargo means less people watching the water.
That's a challenge for us to actually go out there and measure and monitor what the effects might be of having reduced presence, our presence overall, the on-water community presence out there. Okay, however, having said that, we have more remote means of monitoring the population and passive listening devices out there in the habitat that can at least, use the sounds, the vocalizations these animals make, and we can use that to get an indication of, well, their presence, their behaviors. And of course, you're also monitoring one aspect of our presence, and that is the vessel noise.
While the humpback's population has improved overall, experts believe climate change may be causing some discouraging disturbances.
Humpback whales were delisted in 2016. Around the same time, we noticed, and actually it started with the tour boat operators, they started calling the sanctuary going, gosh, we're not seeing as many humpback whales out there around this time of year. We should be seeing more. And sure enough, they were right, because the science followed up. So we started doing the monitoring. And the main theory here was that it was environmentally, that the environment had been undergoing some changes, okay? I'll give you some examples. Around that same time, there was a big El Nino. There was the blob, that high latitude, very warm cell of water in the North Pacific. There was the positive phase of the North Decadal Oscillation, okay, Pacific Oscillation. That's a long-term cycle of warm water, and where that warm water is on the positive phase, it's more, the warm water is very high latitude and up in the North Pacific, up in their feeding grounds. And what this comes down to is it was affecting the productivity. It was affecting the humpback whales and many other species' food.
Lyman points out another imminent danger to the whale population: entanglement.
So there's a lot we don't know, and in fact, it's a good time to mention this, is the sanctuary, along with other state and federal agencies, and along with that community, as appropriate, we do try to go out there and cut these animals free when they are reported entangled, because we have that role, the experience, the training, the different tools we've developed over the years. But in addition to that, there's the outreach and education, make people aware. And here's the big one, the point I want to get to, is the science behind it, is trying to figure out what's going on to try to reduce that threat overall. And that's a big part of our effort as well. So the gaining information towards prevention, if you will.
Now, if you see a whale in need of some help, call NOAA's hotline at 888-256-9840. That number is also posted with the story on our H&N digital platforms.
It's not even winter yet, but millions of Americans in the Northeast are dealing with a deadly snowstorm that's already dropped 2 feet in some areas. Elise Preston has more from a snowy Times Square.
Driving is treacherous across the Northeast today as the first major storm of the season is bringing heavy snow, high winds, and icy conditions.
Oh my God, this is crazy. I didn't think it was going to come down this crazy.
One person died in this weather-related crash on Interstate 81 in Virginia. And in Pennsylvania, a man was hit and killed at this intersection by a public works plow truck. In Maryland, airline passengers had a scare when their jet slid off the taxiway after landing. Spirit Airlines says no one was injured.
This is the biggest winter storm to hit New York City since 2018, and while cleanup is already underway, forecasters say this storm could dump another half a foot of snow in some areas before day's end.
A lot of wind still, but we can handle it.
The nasty weather has forced at least 8 states to temporarily shut down coronavirus testing sites. And there's also concern worker shortages linked to the pandemic could delay snow plowing.
COVID-19 has impacted crew availability for the state and for some cities and towns.
But when it comes to vaccine delivery, government officials and major delivery companies say the vaccine is their top priority and that deliveries will continue as long as roads and airports are open. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
All right, the feeds are certainly talking about this big storm, and I want to take you live to where Elise was. This is Columbus Circle in New York, where the temperature is 32 degrees. And a lot of places are registering 10 inches of snow there in the New York area, and that's more snowfall than New York saw last winter the entire time. I'm going to take you real quick over to Washington, D.C., where things are moving a lot smoother than in New York, it appears, and the temperature there, I believe, was a little warmer. It was just in the upper 30s.
Yeah, DC's winters are much more mild.
Yeah. I'm glad we're not there.
Same.
Yeah. What'd you find, Ash?
So, we love biopics, right, John?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear they're making one about Whitney Houston?
I'm really excited about that.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
So the film is called I Want to Dance with Somebody, after her famous song, and it's slated to be released Thanksgiving in 2022. The film's producers have reportedly found the actress to play the legendary singer. Now, The Hollywood Reporter says Naomi Ackie was chosen after an exhaustive search. The British actress is best known for her role in Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Now, Clive Davis, who helped launch and guide Houston's career, says Akkie's screen test blew him away. They plan to use Houston's own vocals for all the songs, and her estate is cooperating with the movie, and her sister-in-law is also a producer on the project. Whitney Houston died back in 2012.
I think that's a great pick.
Yeah.
Really good
I mean,
choice.
if Clive Davis was impressed, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Royal news!
Yep, Merry Christmas from the Cambridges. Kensington Palace released this photo of the family's holiday card. The picture was taken this fall at Anmer Hall and shows all three kids, George, Charlotte, and Louis, smiling and happy. And the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and their kids have spent a lot of time at their country home this year because of the pandemic. Now, Prince Charles and wife Camilla shared their holiday card too. It was taken in their estate's garden in early autumn.
Yeah, that looks not so wintry there.
Yeah. And the holidays are different this year, obviously, because of the pandemic. But one thing appears to be holding strong this season, and that's Americans' love for indulging in sweet treats. Here's Chris Pallone with more.
Yum.
During the pandemic, there's been a well-documented baking boom as Americans turn to food for comfort during a most difficult year, which means one tradition that probably won't wait until next year is indulging in decadent sweets during the holidays.
There's a connection for people to chocolate and candy. It brings them joy and happiness in an unusual time.
In fact, a National Confectioners Association survey says 80% of Americans will buy as much or more chocolate and candy than they usually do this winter, even if they don't agree on the right way to eat a candy cane. Wait, what?
58% of Americans like to start with the straight end. 30% of Americans say they start with the curved end. And just 12% of Americans say that they break their candy canes into pieces before they enjoy them.
Okay, well, Caitlin Foster, a baker in North Carolina, says food can still bring us together even if we can't be together, from hot cocoa bombs to cake and cookies.
If you think about the true meaning of the holidays, is really what we need to focus on, spending time with our family.
And that's what she plans to do, over video chat, of course.
I shipped cookies to everybody, and we're going to be decorating cookies together on Zoom. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
It's an unusual year, and it's giving people an opportunity to come up with some new traditions and fun ways to incorporate treats into their holiday season.
So bust out those aprons, fire up the computer, and make some delicious memories safely. Even the 12% of you who don't know the right way to eat a candy cane. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
The right way, real quickly, is look it down to where it becomes a sharp spear so you can jab your sister with it, right? All right, guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now on this Thursday. Kurt Caldwell press conference coming up on your digital platforms in just minutes.